That was the hardest part for me. It just kind of sucked because you kind of had to like relive it. I just remember Dad crying and everyone kind of crying.
And then all of a sudden I'm gone, and that was really hard for me. Welcome to the Living Louder podcast. It's been this amazing journey for me to be able to share a message, hopefully of hope. And even my family has been willing to come on the podcast. So my daughter Shelby, my husband Chad, my son Jackson, still got a couple of kids that haven't. And now it's CJ. Yay, CJ is the only one that still lives at home. She's 18 years old, so.
Save the best for last.
That's right. And for me, it's kind of almost like I didn't ever think I'd be sad as my kids got older. But I really like you to be around. I'm like, don't go.
Yeah. We don't plan on moving soon, so.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. But you're doing well with work and other things. So
yeah,
that's kind of cool. CJ was 7 years old when I went to prison. And we don't even know what we're going to talk about today. So
yeah, just all of it.
Yeah, all of it. So well, first of all, do you remember much about what that was like for you to have your mom go to prison?
Yeah, I feel like I don't remember it being that negative for me, if that makes sense. Like, obviously I knew something was happening, but I didn't know what. It kind of felt like you were like reading a story, but didn't know like half of the story, you know what I mean?
Right.
So like, I remember seeing you on TV. I remember like being like, oh, my mom's famous, like kind of having that mindset. I know it's weird, but just like,
yeah,
you know, because you were just on TV sometimes.
When I was sentenced, the day that I came out of the courtroom, I was on TV.
That was like one of my main memories.
It's kind of surreal because we got home that night and I'm crying and upset. And you were 7 years old, so you didn't even understand. And you're like, oh, there's mom on TV.
Yeah, so I definitely remember that. I'd say like the closer it got to the date, I remember being more sad about it and like no. But yeah, I just remember like being in the courtroom. I didn't know what was going on. I just remember being on Dad's phone. Everyone was crying, and I was like, I should probably cry, just because I didn't know what was going on.
Very
you know,
young.
but yeah.
So just for the listeners too, after I was sentenced in 2015. The judge gave me 8 weeks to self-surrender to a prison in Dublin, California, which is a 14-hour drive from Utah. So it was a blessing to be able to say goodbye to my children. A lot of people don't get that. Because I had been on pretrial release and I wasn't considered a danger to myself or others, they gave me time to get my affairs in order. At the same time, knowing that I was going to leave, that 8 weeks was really painful. Also, I think that before I went in, I didn't expect to get such a long sentence. I thought, like, my range was 0 to 7 years. So nobody was prepared, and certainly I wasn't, and I hadn't done a very good job of preparing anyone for that as an option.
Yeah.
I remember coming home that night and Sadie just saying, you said this wouldn't happen. Like, it was really a shock for all of us.
Yeah.
And I don't think I did a very good job of sitting you down and explaining it. It was just kind of like, we're surviving, getting through this, you know?
Yeah. So. Well, it's kind of just like explaining it to Max. Like, I really couldn't imagine explaining that to a kid and them fully understanding. I mean, I don't really know.
Max is your nephew, Shelby's little boy, and he's 7 years old. To try to explain, mom's going to prison, how do you even, and for years, you can't put that into context. A kid can't wrap their head around that. So.
Yeah, for sure.
So I went to prison. Do you even remember the day that I left?
I don't remember like the exact day, but kind of. I'd say like I remember. Did you leave the day we went to court? No, you didn't.
No, I had 8 weeks.
I remember going to court. Yeah, I do remember. We were at that one house, and like Sadie's friends came over for some reason. Yeah. Like Sadie, your friends came over. I just remember Dad crying and everyone kind of crying. And then I remember Grandma took us, I think.
Yeah, Grandma came and got you.
Yeah. I still like don't really remember my thought process. I think it was just a lot going on all the time. I kind of just was like there and just being like, okay, you know, just not knowing what's happening really. So that's why I feel like I didn't really feel that much towards it, because I just was a lot. I don't know. Yeah. And then I think like once you left, it kind of hit more, and I was like, where's mom? Where's mom? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you had Dad.
Yeah.
So what was that like for you? Did you get really close? We have the cat in the house, and it's CJ's cat, so that cat's going to be playing. So just be prepared.
Yeah. It's just, I remember. Yeah, it was good. I mean, I think Dad, you know, did the best that he could. You know, he always made sure that I was okay, you know, always food on the table. I think that's why, you know, I always praise Dad, because I don't know anyone to this day who would be able to do what he's done, you know, you as well, like all of our family. But yeah, I remember Dad, you know, making us food, all that stuff.
He's pretty depressed.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. Like, he would definitely watch TV all the time, and, you know, you could just tell he was withdrawn and disconnected.
Yeah.
I feel like I had my friends' parents in the ward who did a really good job of making sure I felt, like, included. And I was a young enough age where, you know, I don't know, like, still was happy kid. It didn't fully affect. I feel like I still was a happy kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How were your siblings with you?
Never home.
Really? Oh, because they were teenagers. So Jackson and Sadie were 12 and 14.
Yeah, I was probably on my own, like 90 out of the 100%, because Dad would be gone in like the mornings, you know, for work. I'd come back from school. He'd still be gone for like another 3 hours. Right. So Jackson City were out doing whatever. So I was probably alone like most of the time. Right. Like, it was either just me, and I feel like I'd have a lot of friends over to kind of like cope with that, go to their houses, you know.
What about Shelby? Because you had 2 older siblings that were out of the house, but were they supportive?
Yeah, Shelby would come over every morning and do my hair and get me ready. Like, I think Shelby really put on like that motherly, you know, big sister role that she had to put on, you know. She did that for a while, which was really good, you know, helped me out a lot.
Yeah. How were your teachers? Like, did you feel judged or treated poorly, or the opposite, like supported? And
I felt like really supported. If I'm gonna like be honest, I was young, so I feel like I thought it was cool, like, to tell people my mom's in prison, because, like, I don't know why. I feel like not a lot of people felt that way, but like I felt like I was supported. I would tell my teachers. I remember in like 3rd grade, I really didn't want to do a test. So I like pulled her out of the room and told her I was feeling sad about it.
Oh, no.
And I didn't have to take the test.
A little privilege there. Yeah. So you milked it.
Yeah, but like, yeah, there were times though where like I would get really sad about it. Like, I'd write you letters in class, and like, you know, there was just certain times where I would, you know, start really crying about it and feel sad about it. Yeah. But
it was hard. It was really hard because you were so young, and I missed you so much. I'd been really involved before I went to prison. Like, I go to school, I would help in classroom, and just, you were my little buddy. And, and then all of a sudden I'm gone. And that was really hard for me. I used to dream about being able to hold you and just hang out with you. And I really couldn't accept it. And I don't know about you, but like, I couldn't accept that I was going to be gone for 5 years, like, or 7 years or whatever. It's like, I just did it a day at a time. And it took me a few years to accept that I was going to be like, I kept thinking, I'll get home. There's got to be a way I can get home, you know?
Yeah. I feel like it affected me more as I got older. Like, even when you got back, I don't know why. Just because I feel like I was too young to really process that. So I feel like it kind of came out in like other ways when I was older, like coping with all that, if that makes sense.
For sure.
Because like I just was so young, and like, don't get me wrong, it affected me at that age too, but I just didn't understand, you know?
Right. So I came home from prison when you were 12.
Yeah.
And we didn't kind of know each other that well at that point. Cause
not really.
That's a lot. 5 years. I mean, you went from 7 to 12 without a mom being there. So we kind of had to re-get to know each other. Yeah. And then I came home and I found out that you had been through some really hard stuff I didn't even know about. Yeah. And there were some sexual abuse that took place with you. I don't know if that's something, like, for me, that was terrifying because I didn't realize that you had this eating disorder all of a sudden. And it was serious and it was scary. And I was working in drug treatment. I was like, what am I going to do? My little girl's hurting, you know? And then I really blamed myself, because it's like, I went to prison, it traumatized her. And I remember asking you very directly if something had happened physically, and you said yes. And when we found out, there were a couple things that had happened, and we ended up having to go to the Children's Justice Center. Yeah. I wasn't sure how to deal with that. I was super scared. I didn't, like, on one hand, I didn't want it to become like your identity. Yeah. You know, I wanted you to be able to talk about it and get the validation from a police officer that this had happened, and I knew that the person in the one situation for sure needed to be charged. But I also didn't want it to be like, I don't know, how do you feel we navigated that? How have you been able to navigate that? A lot of therapy.
Yeah, I mean, I think like it was hard for me because like it was so weird. Like, his sister would come to our school and visit, like, the principal there at our middle school, and I would just, like, go cry. Like, and that was the only time I felt big sorrow, and it was, like, it was weird because I was, like, sad. I was like, well, I don't want to put their family through that. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to put their family through, you know, like, getting their brother in trouble, if that makes any sense.
Right, their older brother.
Yeah, which is, like, weird, but it was, like, that was one thing that affected me majorly. And, yeah, I think at first, we definitely didn't have the best, you know, like, we didn't work it out too well, like, in the beginning. I think, like, you know, like you said, you didn't want me to revolve my whole life around it, but I didn't understand that at the time.
Oh, so to give some context, I was super nervous when I found out that this had happened, and the individual was over 18 years old, so it was somebody that needed to be charged. And I was scared. Like, if the cops come, is that going to mark CJ? My biggest concern was you. I'm like, I do not want her to feel like she's become, I don't know, I think because I worked in drug treatment, I saw girls that had been sexually abused when they were young grow up and get into drugs and everything. I was like, I remember even going to a therapist at the place that I worked, and I was like, I don't know how to help my daughter. I don't want her to continue to be a victim to this.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't even sure about calling the police. Like, I knew we needed to get you therapy and stuff.
Well, I think the police came to us about it.
Yeah, because there was another victim.
Because there was another,
And so how was it for you to go to the Children's Justice Center and talk to the police?
Dude, they just wanted a lot of detail. Like, the most detail that you can give, like, more than you can imagine. And I think that was the hardest part for me. Not even talking to the police officers is just because, like, I'd say one thing, go into more detail. And it was just kind of sucked because you kind of had to, like, relive it, even though, I don't know. So it was definitely hard. I honestly don't think I don't know if the police did anything about it.
No, they charged him. Well, we chose. So the other thing is, I think the police told me, so I was in therapy. I was in talking to another therapist while Dad and I were.
Yeah.
While you were in talking to the police about it. And and I remember saying, I have failed my daughter. Like, I failed her. I went to prison and all of these things. And she's like, the fact that you even know that you know that some of your actions have hurt her, and the fact that she's like, you're doing the best you can for your daughter, which was helpful as a parent, because, like, as a parent, I felt like I didn't protect her. Like, you know, it's my fault. I remember the police coming out and saying, you have such a brave daughter. Aww. She was so honest and so brave. Like, we don't get kids that are willing to be that open. And I remember telling the therapist, I was like, honesty is the highest value in our family. That's something I want my kids to always know, that they can tell me the truth and that they won't be punished or judged. Like, it's a safe place to be honest. I was really grateful when I asked you if something had happened that you told me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think it was, like, just a spiraling loop of, like, me being alone. And, like, I was so young, I really didn't understand what I was doing to the full extent. Like, now I look back and I'm like, holy crap. Like, that was a lot, you know what I mean? But at that time, I was like, this isn't a lot. Like, I just have to keep it to myself. No one can be worried about me. That was kind of my main thing.
Get down.
Yeah, that was, like, one of my main things. So I think when I kind of felt it all collapsing, like, you finding out, which of course now I'm like, you know, thankfully that all happened. But at the time I was like, no, I got to keep hiding it. And then I think I just got to a point where I realized how serious the situation was, because my friend, an older friend of mine who, like, wasn't good, but she was telling me, she's like, hey, the police are getting involved with all of this. Like, this really isn't good. Like, you need to get serious about this. You know what I mean? Like, because about the guy.
Yeah. So and here's the hard part.
Yeah.
The price has to be paid. The legal price has to be paid for something like that.
Yeah.
But I didn't want you to just sit and focus on that. I was like, that is the legal process. What we focus on now is healing and moving forward.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you have to forgive this individual. That comes in time.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But my goal for you was just to empower you and for you to feel loved and supported and get, you know, just know your strength and how amazing you are. Like, I wanted you to see, I just didn't want you to feel any kind of shame or victimization or, I mean, I don't know. This is hard stuff to navigate. And the sad thing is there's a lot of people out there that have to.
Yeah.
And then you have the people who are the perpetrators who are, oops. What would you say do you feel a lot of bitterness or angry towards your victimizer, like the person that?
Yeah, like, I did a lot, you know. But, well, at first I was like, because it, you know, I wasn't mad because it wasn't really processing to me what was really, like, what happened and what was happening, and kind of just, but I feel like And then I was really angry, just like, why would you do that? It wasn't even just me either. Like, how could you manipulate, take advantage of people like that are so young? But I think now it's more just like, yeah, like peace. I hope that, he's healed. I hope that he's not doing the things he's done. He's gotten help for that, because it's an illness, it's a disease. I don't think people choose, like pedophiles, for example. I don't think they choose. I think that they're just kind of born like that.
So I don't know if people are born like that. I think in a lot of cases it's either they've been abused.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's kind of what I mean. Like they
probably didn't aspire to have that happen.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Also, I think that pornography plays a big part into that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I believe that kids now are exposed to that. Like, how old were you when you were first exposed to pornography?
I don't even remember. Like, young. I mean, I've always had a phone, probably like 11, not even gonna lie.
Yeah. And see, I work with the youth that come in, and I mean, it's not something that you actively use now. And it's something that we talked about, like open conversation. Is it, for me, I think that are the most important. Like when I'm working with the youth, I'm like, how many of you have viewed pornography? And we all raise our hand. And then the ones that don't raise, the ones that do, I'm like,
the ones that
way
don't,
to go,
you're like, you're lying.
Way to go, way to be honest, you know? And because I think parents are scared to say that could have happened, that their kids have seen it. Honest conversation, like no matter what, if you you can try to prevent your kids from having a phone, but other kids are going to have a phone. They're going to see that.
And you can just like feel it when people are, like using it, or like in that, like I can kind of feel people's energy, like if they're watching a lot of porn and are like, Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. No, I had a young girl in treatment that was viewing porn like 5 to 8 hours a day.
That is insane to me.
Yeah. And her energy was so far off. I said, you are so off-putting. Like, what you want is connection. No, seriously, like anyone that comes around you, like you're very sexual. Like in the group, everything she said was very sexual. And I was like, do you realize how you want friends, but what you're settling for is something so much not real. Like real connection comes through getting to know people. And she's 15 years old. She was introduced to porn when she said she was like in first or second grade. Someone showed it to her. And, I think that it's so hard to hear the truth as a parent. For me, like it was, I don't even think I've ever seen Dad break like that when he found out that you'd been hurt that way. It's really hard, but at the same time, unless you can face that truth and move forward, I don't know. So kids are seeing this stuff. Hopefully yours aren't, but it happens.
Definitely scared for all that, but whatever happens, happens, I guess. But yeah, like I feel like with porn, it is a big part of, like that stuff has ruined futures and futures of people. It's ruined, my generation just because it's so accessible. Sure, they like banned one of the main sites, but that doesn't really, that doesn't really help, honestly. You can just find other ways. But I think it's a big negative factor. And, props to the people who cannot watch that stuff,
Yeah. Well, I feel like when I talk to the youth, I try to point out the pros and cons. Like, what are the benefits of not, because the judgment doesn't help.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are the benefits of not viewing pornography?
Well, I feel like with the judgment and the shame too, you get, stuck in it. It's like kind of like when you're using drugs, like, oh, I'm gonna do this. And then you feel so shameful about it. You're like, well, there's no way out now. Better just keep going,
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, what were you saying?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like honest, open conversations about it. How does that make you feel?
Yeah.
What are the pros and cons? And I remember that girl who was very convinced that she's like, what's wrong with porn? There's nothing wrong with porn. And finally I looked at her and I said, do you want to continue to use this? Does it make you feel good? And she just started to cry. No,
Aww.
and I can't stop.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's sad. I think a lot of people don't really talk about how it affects girls too. I think everyone's just stuck on how, oh, men. Sure, it's probably a majority of men, but I think it affects both men and women a lot,
Right.
like more women than anyone would think. I think it affects everyone who's young and
Yeah, it's scary.
like especially toddlers who are just growing up like with technology and stuff. I think it's very important. Like with my kids, I'm probably not going to let them have a screen for a while,
Right.
But yeah.
How has, like, as you've grown up, what do you think has been helpful for you in navigating, like recognizing, okay, these things happen to me.
Yeah.
Like my mom made choices that really hurt me. Like how have you been able to work through forgiveness and finding your way forward with that?
Yeah. I think like, I was angry a lot, I was very angry, and then it turned into sadness and all this stuff, and me just like, hurting myself because of it. I think really just realizing I can only save myself. You know what I mean? I wanted so many other people to save me. Oh, not blaming yourself. This is, mom did this, so it's her fault, or this person's fault, But really, when I just took a look at myself and I was like, all I can do is control myself and my action and, just help myself. And I think I just stopped blaming you or everyone else and really just blamed myself for all my own mistake, because crap happens and like you can't really, it just happens. You got to work through it. You can't sit there and blame everyone for it.
Well, does it help you to blame everyone is really the question. It's like,
I mean, that's what I mean. Like you can't, like, you're just going to sit there and be bitter,
Yeah. I remember when Jace was little and I had moved out of Grandma and Grandpa's house. He's probably like 7, and he was crying and mad. I just want to go with Grandma and Grandpa's because they were so free. Like he didn't have rules or boundaries there. And he's like, you're a bad mom. Because I had been. I had done drugs and made mistakes, and I was sober and trying to fight my way out of that. And I said, Jace, I pulled over and I said, listen, you're right. I haven't been a good mother, but I'm trying to now. And you're right. I made choices that hurt you, and it won't help you to focus on that.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can tell you is that you don't have to let that ruin your life. You can choose something different.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't even realize until years later. He goes, Mom, that was such a shift for me to recognize, okay, Mom's acknowledging that she hurt me, but she's also telling me that I'm free to choose what to do with that.
Yeah.
So I feel like you've chosen the higher road with both, that sexual assault and with me and your parents and siblings.
Everything really.
So you're working.
Yeah.
How has that, like, I feel like you're such a responsible employee. Has that been an important part of your journey, like to gain confidence and stuff?
Yeah, like I feel like, not too long ago I graduated and everyone was going to college and stuff, and I just was feeling so stressed and like, what am I going to do, because I just felt like a low life while everyone was like going and getting their scholarship.
And you struggled a bit in school.
Yeah, I definitely struggled. I definitely wasn't like the smartest kid, like,
Well, you're smart in lots of common sense ways. But,
yeah.
And I wasn't great in school either.
Street smart's not school smarts.
And so you decided at that point not to go to college. You don't know yet what the future holds.
Yeah. So like my job just had more opportunities to like travel and go train at other like stores and stuff. So I kind of just decided to do that and making lots of money from it, like $1,000 a week.
It's awesome. Yeah. And you're 18, so you have a pretty good job and you're a hard worker. I remember telling you, I'm like, there's one thing you can beat everyone out on. You can be the most responsible, the most on time, and the hardest worker.
Yep.
And I've followed that path too. Like, I haven't gone to college, but I figured out other ways that I can use my skills to.
Prison counts as college.
Kind of, right?
Kinda, yeah.
I did a lot of reading and study. I think I probably got more out of that 4 years than some do a college degree. So
exactly.
How do you see prison as a negative thing?
No, not really, honest. I think it's funny to think about like how I'd think of prison if you didn't go, but like I just remember going to visit you and all the people there were so nice. I remember even telling people like, people in prison like aren't like on TVs, like, like they're nice people. They're people just like us. That goes with everyone. That goes with the homeless person. That goes, every single person.
Once you get to know them.
Yeah, they're all the same. So I'm really thankful. I feel like I had that outlook from a young age. I feel like I always included everyone to be my friend. I didn't really discriminate because of like any looks or anything like that.
Yeah, I remember you had a friend that was in foster care when you were in elementary school.
Yeah.
You guys kind of connected because you both, his parents were in prison, weren't they? His dad?
Yeah, his mom was in prison. So he was in a foster house for a little bit, him and his siblings. So yeah, I would hang out with him. It was really cool that I got to meet him because we were both going through the same things. So we just really bonded over that.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. What was it like for you to visit a prison then?
Very like take everything off, put it literally exactly like the airport. Like gotta take everything off. I remember we'd always go through those scanners and someone would always be like a wire or something. So we always had to go to Walmart and change and then come back. Definitely a hassle to get into. But yeah, I remember once we got in there, it was almost like a ticking time bomb for me because like I was excited and I really enjoyed like the moments we did get together. But then I would get reminded like, oh, right when we leave, this will be the last time I see you for I don't even know how long. Could be like a year. So I feel like it was really nice until you got to that point where you had to leave, and it felt like you leaving all over again, you know?
Yeah, I felt that too. So painful when,
Yeah.
like, I would look forward to you guys coming, but it would almost scare me how painful it would be.
Oh, yeah.
When you would leave. Yeah. Do you feel like your view has made you less judgmental of people that go through hard things?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think honestly I'm more attracted to people who have been through hard things. Maybe a good thing, maybe a bad thing, but, you know, because they're just, yeah, I don't know, it just helps me relate, and we're all people at the end of the day, you know?
Have you used my experience, like, because you've told me you've done this before, like you meet somebody new at work or whatever, you're like, yeah, my mom did prison time, and they're like blown away.
Yeah, it's mostly like when we start working together for a while, like we all just start talking, and like they'll share things they've been through, so then like I do, and it's just funny because no one really expects it from me. I don't look like the type to really...
Your mom went to prison?
Yeah, I just don't look like I've been through anything, but people are like, whoa, like your lore is crazy. You're like, the things you've been through. I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
I think you pulled out a picture out of the glove compartment once to show Eliza. And it was like us.
I showed my friend, like I was driving one of Dad's old cars. She pulled a picture out of the glove compartment, and she was like, "Who's that?" I was like, "That's Rock."
It was one of my prison friends.
Yeah, it's like one of Mom's prison friends, like dirty mugging the camera. I was like, that's Rock. Like we still laugh about that though.
She was beautiful. But
I know she was.
Up,
she's like she is gorgeous. It's like, I know, girl.
She's like what you would see, like this prison babe, like all tatted up.
Yeah, Rock.
Yeah, for sure. That was Rock. Shout out to Rock.
Shout out Rock. Yeah, for real.
She was a great cook at the prison too.
Oh, I believe it. She looks like she's good at everything.
She and I were good friends. She's doing a lot of time. So.
No wonder you made it like higher up, you know?
I loved her.
Yeah.
So, but what do you think it would be the most important thing you could tell a kid that's going through a hard thing with their parents, or even that's going through, well, let's start with the hard thing with their parents first.
I think I would really just say, like, you know, that's a hard question. You know, that there's an end to it. It's really not forever. And, like, they got this, you know, like, you're always going to think that you can't do it, but really you have no other choice. Like, you can't.
You can either do it and come out on top, or you can do it and it's going to do you.
Yeah, like I really just think, you know, anger really is not going to help. Blaming the parent really is not going to help. Sure, they made a mistake, but they know that already. So I really just think loving your parent and supporting them and just trying to be your best self, you know, finding things every day that make you happy. Just because really, I feel like the best thing you really can do in that situation is to just like healthily get your mind off it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
what about somebody who is sexually assaulted?
I don't really know. I don't know. That's a hard one. I think the same thing. Just you can't be angry at the person. It's just not gonna help, and I feel like it almost makes it worse if you're angry about it, because you try to do all these things and, you know, blame them, but realistically, the same thing probably happened to them when they were younger.
Is anger part of the grieving process, though?
Yeah, I really think being angry is just being sad, you know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, yeah.
How are you doing now? Like, how do you feel? Because you've been through some trauma. I've seen you really hurting at times. I feel like you've pretty much overcome the eating disorder.
Yeah.
Do you still struggle with that sometimes?
No, yeah, I definitely have overcome that. I feel like I'm doing really good now, though. I mean, I feel like I'm getting it together piece by piece, you know? It's kind of like a puzzle. So I feel a lot. Like, I feel like I kind of know more about what I'm going to do and, like, what my life's going to look like more now than I did, like, a couple months ago, which I think is good.
You've been meeting with a therapist who's awesome. Shout out Doris. We love Doris.
Yeah, shout out for real.
And how's that helped you?
It's been really good. I think, you know, she just always listens. And I guess in therapy, like, instead of sitting there and feeling bad for yourself, they kind of help you more find a solution and how to work on it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really helped me, you know, find ways to cope or, you know, just find ways to be okay.
She has had you kind of to get to know yourself. Like,
yeah, for
decide
sure.
what your values are. You know,
yeah, like
that.
I remember there was one time where she. Oh,
okay, Kat. I didn't ask you to snag my jeans the whole way down.
Yeah. I remember she just asked me like questions about myself. Like she's like, answer them out loud. Like, and I was like, wow. Like you never like read questions to yourself and like know what you like. It's weird, but yeah. Just stuff like that.
Anything else that you want to share that you think is important for the world to know on your podcast debut?
My podcast debut? Not really. Just love everyone, you know?
Yeah.
World's so full of hate.
Yeah. Well, I am so proud of you.
Oh, I'm proud of you too.
Like, I really feel like you've been such a support and a love, and you got more your dad in you, like kind and good,
Yeah.
and just really want the best for when you don't have any meanness in you. And
Yeah.
I think you're such a good listener. Like all your friends and everyone around you loves. I remember you would tell me, "I'm not that good at school," and I'm like, "CJ, you have emotional intelligence."
Yeah.
Like your ability to, and you're like, they don't give grades on that. And I go, they should.
Yeah.
And we talked to your counselor in school, and he's like, they should.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, you're wise. You have wisdom that I just admire, you know?
Yeah. No, I'd say definitely school was frustrating for me growing up just because of that. You're good at other things, but it doesn't really matter, you know? You're not good at math and stuff like that. But yeah, really appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, I love you.
Love you too.
Okay. Thank you for joining me and CJ today, and we'll see you next time on the Living Louder podcast.